Hey guys, what's up? So this is the book that I'm reading, Psychopath Free. Hey, how are you, A. Hedgelim? I have no voice this morning, so y'all please excuse me, but I could not share this. This was a book that I found yesterday, and I could not wait. Hey, Plaid Fuzz, to sit down this weekend and read this book. This is going to be my weekend activity. Hey, Ashley, let me go ahead and flip it around. What's going on, you guys? I've been ugly crying, and I'm not even to page like 5 yet, you guys. Hey, White Oak, this book is amazing. Plaid Fuzz, I feel like for the first time somebody actually knows what my life was like, especially my marriage. I was married to a diagnosed sociopath for 5 years. And I'm reading this book and I want to jump around. I want to scream. I'm like, I cannot believe somebody knows how it felt that entire time. I'm doing really good, White Oak. I'm a little bit sick, obviously. I have no voice and I'm all stopped up this morning. But I had to share this because it feels so good to be vindicated in everything that I've felt and everything that I experienced, that right now I'm getting to the part where you two, I'm so sorry. It's this weather, I think. I'm getting to, hey, Crazy, how are you? I'm getting to the part, it's the very beginning, y'all. I'm literally not even on page 5. And I had to get on to talk about this. I'm going to do a book review. I want to just go ahead and tell everybody to buy this book right now. And I'm going to read some of it to you. It's the 30 Red Flags. And it just explained everything that I dealt with in my marriage to a diagnosed sociopath, where even therapists at the time were telling me, oh, he's not that bad. We sat with him. We talked with him. Then they would sit down and talk with me and be like, yeah, we see now he's probably crazy. Then they would go talk to him and be like, no, he's fine. He was just that manipulative. Where even after my divorce, everybody took his side. Even when I shared things that he had done to me, how he would spit on me, he would blow snot on me as I was on the ground while he would yell at me. He would blow his nose on me. He pushed me down the stairs because he refused to feed our baby all day while I was at work. And I was trying to check on the baby. He pushed me down the stairs. I finally got the nerve to call the police. And he told the police officer that I was crazy, that I was pregnant, and that my mom is bipolar schizophrenic, which she is. And he told the police officer she's just going crazy like her mom, and convinced the police officer to call my parents. And my parents came over and they all tried to have me committed into a mental institution after he pushed me down the stairs while I was pregnant. And that's something I don't know if I've ever shared that out loud with many people. And I remember sitting there in the emergency room bleeding because he pushed me down the stairs and telling the nurse, maybe I'm crazy. I remember telling my dad, Dad, do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm crazy like Mom? I truly believed that I did something wrong, that it was my fault, that it wasn't my ex-husband who was starving our child while I was at work. It wasn't my ex-husband who just pushed me down the stairs. It wasn't him. It was me. And I think that's something that so many people don't understand and don't realize about relationships of that nature. Yes, you believe everything that they tell you to the point of you will defend them. You will defend them. Where is he now? He is living in a different state. It's not very far from me, but he still has some custody of the kids. He gets to see them for visitation. I know. I pray every day. That I will finally be released from that relationship, that there will be no more hold that relationship has on me, but legally we're still bound to each other because of the kids. In spite of everything that's happened, there's been so much that has happened that I can't really share right now. I can't, I mean, in all honesty, there were so many times after the divorce that I just prayed that God would take his life. Just God, let him get in a car accident. I'm going to go ahead and be real. I've prayed that so many times. God, don't let him hurt my children anymore. God, don't let him hurt me anymore. Don't let him have a place in our life anymore. Just to be real, y'all, I know that God is redeeming and using all of these things for his glory and for my testimony and for my ministry and things that I'm able to do to help other people. But when you are in the middle of it and when you're dealing with those kind of people in your life, it feels like there's no escape. It feels like they control everything you do. And it feels like your identity is bound in what they think of you. And that is a lie. So if any of y'all are in a relationship with a person like that, I really do want to encourage you. There is hope. Like, you are loved. There are so many people that love you. But I did want to read some of this book because I feel like, for me, reading this out loud, hey Susie, how are you? For me, reading this out loud is like vindication. It's like saying, I want you to know what I went through the 6 years that I was with this person. I almost want to go put this book in the face of the pastors who told me that I was wrong for not begging him to stay when he just walked out one day and wanted nothing else to do with us. And they told me that it was my fault, that I was not equipped for ministry anymore because I did not beg my sociopathic husband to stay, because I did not desire to continue with that abuse, to continue having my children living in that situation, to have myself living in that situation. I want to show them this book right here. And I want to say, this is what I was going through. This is what I was living. This is what I was dealing with. This is what you told me that I should continue to live with every single day of my life. Hey, Willis, how are you doing? I'm feeling some healing right now, you guys. This book, for those of you who were on my scope last night, hey, the Blessed Remnant. Yes, White Oak, I have had a really rough life, but you know what? It's funny because I can't sit down and talk about my testimony in one large chunk because there is so much of it. Other people can't even handle listening to me talk about my life. But at the same time, I know that God uses every single aspect, every single thing that I've been through. It is my testimony and it is my ministry, and I'm able to reach so many women because of the things that I've gone through. I can relate to pretty much every single person that I come in contact with, every single person that shares their testimony and their story with me. There is some aspect of my life that I can relate to them with whatever they've gone through, whether it's a divorce, a bad marriage, whether it's, like a terrible childhood, whether it was, some sort of hurt that they've experienced. I feel like I've never met a person that I can't relate to their story in some way. Thank you, White Oak. It really is. It is all God. It is all God's doing in my life. It's all for God's glory. I truly believe that I was at a crossroads in my life at one point where I could have allowed all of the things I've been through to break me and to take me away from God and to take me away from belief in Him and to just walk away. And I wanted to, at one point, I wanted to just walk away because what was He doing in my life? But instead, He continued to draw me to Him. Yes, it is definitely for the future ministry. It is definitely for the future ministry. And I've been told by plenty of people that a lot of the things I've gone through were not for me, but for the people that I will deliver. And I cling to that promise. I cling to that promise because if what I've gone through, if what I've gone through brings one person who's gone through that back to Christ, if one thing I've gone through shows them that God did not abandon them, that God did not punish them, that God was not doing this to them because He hates them and doesn't love them, then every single thing that I've been through in my life is worth it. Look, tears of healing, 100%. Because the things that I once despised about myself, the things that I once hated about myself, the things that I never thought I would ever be able to get over, are now the things that I embrace the most. No, I have not seen that. I'm going to have to go check that out. I'm looking at this book, and they said that they have like an online community. Let me look for the page super, super quick. Where is it? Of course, when I'm looking for it, I cannot find it. Hey, Juju, long time no talk. What is going on? Let's see. It's called Psychopath Free is the book. And I'm really trying to find the website right now. They have like an online community. Oh, it's psychopathfree.com. That's it. It says we see new members join every single day, always with a seemingly hopeless and all too familiar tale, left feeling lost and broken. They wonder if they will ever find happiness again. And 1 year later, that person is nowhere to be found. In his or her place, there is a beautiful stranger who stands tall and helps others out from the shadows, a stranger who takes pride in their own greatest qualities, empathy, compassion, and kindness. A stranger who speaks of self-respect and boundaries. A stranger who practices introspection in order to better conquer their own demons. Amen. Yes, the book on Amazon Prime is, yesterday it was like $8. I went ahead. I bought it at Barnes & Noble yesterday because I couldn't wait. I wanted to start reading it as soon as possible. I bought it at Barnes & Noble's. It was $16 at Barnes & Noble. And I will say, I think 100% that it was the best $16 I've ever spent. You know, that's a couple coffees. That's a dinner somewhere, you know. So, but on Amazon, and you can find it cheaper. Like I said, it was like $8. And it's $8 that can completely change your life. I'm 3 years, hey, what's up? I am 3 years removed from this marriage, but it is a lifetime that I've dealt with this kind of stuff being poured into me because of my mom's mental illness and different things like that. I have had a lifetime of the people who are in authority over me being in this position where they are unable to have empathy for others, where they are unable to truly love other people, not from their own doing. They have a problem. It's a mental illness. Psychopaths, you know, narcissists, sociopaths, toxic people, a lot of times they're not doing it purposefully. They don't even know what they're doing. They just do not have the ability to relate to other people. And I love what it said at one part of this book, except the fact that they cannot change. For so long, I've tried to change so many people because I've always believed the best in people. I always believe in healing. And I'm not saying give up on these people. I'm not saying hate these people. I'm not saying, you know, that you completely reject them and turn away from them. But you do not need to allow these people to have authority in your life. These people are not allowed to have a say in your identity, in who you are, in what your calling is, in what your purpose is, in what your giftings are, in what your talents are. These people are completely unable to care about anyone other than themselves. These people are unable to truly love. It's all about manipulation. It's all about power. It's all about what they can get from another person. And they will do everything they can to destroy you. And I've seen it over and over and over in my life. And I never had someone say, you are not that person. These people are liars. You are not the crazy one. These people are the crazy ones, and they are pouring lies into you. Do not allow them to define who you are. I have to say that because I have to believe that someone listening right now needs to hear that. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear it when I was a child. I was never told that. I needed to hear it as a teenager when I was starting to get into relationships. I never heard that. I needed to hear it when I was in college, when I was in abusive relationships. When I was in abusive relationships with a psychopath, with a narcissist, with a person who was cheating on me, abusing me, hurting me, and when his parents and when my parents ganged up on me and said it was my fault, said that I did something, said that I was the crazy one because I was the one who was emotional. I was the one who was flying off the handle. Do you know why I was flying off the handle? Because I had a crazy person who was controlling my life, and a sane person being controlled by an insane mind can't handle it. We don't know what to do because our mind can't comprehend what's happening. We can't comprehend why this is what our life is. We can't comprehend why this other person is the way that this person is. And I've fought with that over and over and over with my mom, trying to understand my mom, trying to love my mom because of her diagnosis, trying to understand her, trying to come to a place where I can truly 100% accept who she is. And the more that I hear people speak about mental illness now, the more that I see they don't understand mental illness. I did a huge series when Robin Williams committed suicide because the media was portraying him as, this loving, caring, funny person because that's who he was when he was in the movies. That's who he was when he was playing a role. People suffering from mental illness destroy those who are around them, not purposefully, not purposefully. And I really felt like I wish his family had the freedom to speak about who he probably truly was in real life. And had he not been seen as this loving, funny person, I wonder had he, would he have gotten the help that he needed? But instead, he was supported by so many in his mental illness. Instead of people saying, you need help. You need healing. You need medication. You need treatment. So many times in the church, people suffering greatly from some sort of mental illness are told, pray about it. Go to this retreat. Have more faith. Read the Bible. That's what people suffering from mental illness are told by those in the church. They're not told that they have a problem and they need help and they need treatment. They're not told and held accountable for the things that they're doing to those around them, the things that they're doing to their spouses, the things that they're doing to their children, the things that they're doing, to anyone that comes in contact with them during these moments. My mom feels her most sane when she is at her most insane. And she has torn my life apart at times and has no understanding of what she's done. She felt that in that moment, she was the most right, that she was vindicated in those moments to do the things that she did. And she still seeks to stay off of her medication, to get off of her medication, because she doesn't like the way her medication makes her feel, because her mind desires to stay in that place of her own reality. A reality that is not anything to do with actual reality or what's going on around her, what's going on in the lives of other people. And that is something that I have to remember all the time, that what my mom believes of me and thinks of me is not the truth of who I am. It is defined by her mental illness. It is the same with my ex-husband. He is a sociopath. The things that he believes of me, the things that he thinks of me, the things that he said of me do not define who I am. That is not my character. That is not my heart. That is not my calling. That has nothing to do with who I am in this world. It has everything to do with what his illness defines me as in his mind. It's not the truth of who I am. And it has taken me 3 years since my divorce to get to that point. It's been a slow process. It's not quick. You don't just hear and get the diagnosis that someone that you were with is a sociopath and it makes everything okay. I remember at my mental health evaluation when she finally told me, "You're not crazy, you're just broken." She said, "You've got some stuff going on. Emotionally, you're not very stable right now. No, you're not what I would deem mentally healthy," is what she said. "But you're not mentally ill. There's not something wrong with you." And I remember the moment I first heard those words, and it broke me in the best way possible. Because for my entire life, I believed that there was something wrong with me. I believed that I was this person that everybody kept saying that I was, and I wasn't. What I've been through, I try not to dwell on it. I try not to live in the negative of it. But it is something that needs to be shared. It's something that needs to be understood. It's something that I need to talk about because I know that it's something that can relate to others. It's something that will help heal others from things that they've gone through, because I know that there's so many people that go through these same things. And it's so funny because every time I work up the courage to talk about this aspect of my life, the people who send me the messages saying that they needed to hear it and that they related, it was always, always, always people that I would never have guessed. And I know what it's like. No one would have ever guessed that I was that person going through those things, living that life, being abused by my husband, and showing up to church on Sunday morning, praising God, raising my hands in the air, leading others. No one would have guessed in that moment what I was going through in my life. The manipulation, the abuse, the pain, the hurt, the lies that I believed about myself. I remember one day sitting in Bible study, and there was a single woman in there, and she was just crying over her singleness. She was crying because, she'd gone on a couple dates, and none of the guys were really that great. She started talking about settling for a guy, just to be with a guy, and I probably got a bit worked up. I probably shouldn't have gotten this worked up, but I remember feeling so passionately in that moment and just saying, no, never settle, never think that marriage is the answer to your happiness. Never think that you can't be happy being single. And I remember the other women in the group who were all married ganging up on me. "Hey, Carla, what's up?" The other women who were married ganging up on me and saying, "Who are you to say that to her? You don't know what it's like to be single. You've been married for 5 years. You were married at a young age. You have children. Who are you to say those things to her? You have no idea what it's like. You have no idea what the struggle that she's going through right now." And I just wanted to scream. I wanted to scream, and I wanted to say, and I couldn't. I wanted to say, because I'm with a man who abuses me. I'm with a man who I thought would be my salvation from my past and from my life. And it is a bigger nightmare than I had ever experienced ever before. Because I settled. Because I thought that loneliness was the worst thing in the world. I am single now. I've been single for 3 years. I was married for 5. We lived together for a year before that. So we were basically, together for 6 years. I actually, and this speaks a lot about his sociopathic abilities, I moved in with him 2 weeks after we met. I never, hey homeschool Rome, how are you? Never would have seen myself doing this. Just 6 months before, I was preparing to move to Houston to work under Beth Moore in her ministry to be mentored by her just 6 months prior. Then I found myself moving in with this abusive man. And I cried every single day, yet I stayed. I cried every single day, yet I stayed. You know? Carla, look, I'm sorry too. But like I was saying earlier, I'm really not sorry that this has been my life and what I've gone through, because it gives me the ability to speak about it to those who need to hear it. It gives me the ability to share and say, look, I've been there. Not just, wow, I'm sorry that you're going through that, but I've gone through it. I get it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And God places women in my path all day long. All day long. If people believe that this is not a problem, then people are lying to themselves. If the churches believe that this is not a problem, the churches are lying to themselves. I'm so glad, Carla. Look, you probably weren't in here when I was sharing this, Carla. This book, Psychopath Free, Recovering from Emotionally Abusive Relationships with Narcissists, Sociopaths, and Other Toxic People. Carla, I couldn't even get through 5 pages without having to jump on Scope, having to scream out and say every single person needs to read this book. Honestly, I think even people who have not been in these kind of relationships, if you are in ministry in any way, shape, or form, you need to read this book. Because you need to understand where these women are coming from. Hey, On the Up Life, how are you? If you are in leadership in any way, shape, or form, you need to read this book. Because you need to understand the women who sit in front of you, the women who come before you for counsel, and the women who are saying, this is what's going on in my marriage, and you don't understand what they're going through. Do not try to counsel them if you don't understand what they're going through. You send them to someone. Oh gosh, don't burn your pumpkins. Come back. If you don't understand what they're going through, don't try to counsel them through that. Do not. Do not. That's what ended up putting me in the position that I was in. The church kept telling me, every marriage has problems. The church kept telling me, if you are a Proverbs 31 woman, then your husband will love you. The church kept telling me, if you do the right things, if you pray for him enough, if you're godly enough, if you take him to church, if you witness to him, then he will be the husband that you desire him to be. God will restore this. God will do this. God will do that. I was married to a diagnosed sociopath. He was never going to change. He was always going to abuse me. He was always going to manipulate me. He was always going to do that because he had no desire. Absolutely. Absolutely. God can change people. God can change people. But in order for God to change people, they have to desire that change. They have to desire that change, and I know 100% that my ex never desired to change. He never saw a problem in his actions and how he treated me and how he treated our kids and what he was doing. Several books on toxic people, verbal abuse, etc. on my Barnes & Noble Nook. Get this one. This one, it's $8 on Amazon Prime right now, $8. I bought it at Barnes & Noble yesterday for $16. I don't regret spending $16 on it. Sounds like my ex. Look, there are so many people that have lived this. Psychopathfree.com. They have a website. It's a whole community of people who have lived this. It's a community of people seeking healing from this. Don't think that just knowing, like my ex is a diagnosed sociopath. I remember the day that the person doing our psychological evaluations looked me in the eye and said, yeah, you know, he's a psychopath. He's a sociopath, whatever she said. He's a sociopath. He has no no true feelings for you. I remember that day. I remember that day. That day did not immediately heal me. Knowing those things did not make me feel okay with anything that happened to me. Emotional abuse is powerful and strong, and people deny how hard it is for you. Avoid falling in love with a jerk. I had to get to a place of recognizing what I deserve. I don't deserve this. Every relationship I've been in has been abusive and harmful, has broken me down, has torn me apart. Yes. Every relationship I've been in, every single one. It is time that I stop with all that mess, y'all. It really is. It's time that I stop with all that mess. A lot of it has to do with that was the way I was raised. That was the way I was raised. So I believed that that was normal. It was okay to be treated that way by other people. Have to be happy with yourself first and foremost. Amen. Amen. Look, on the up life, I hope that everyone gets to that place of saying no more. Absolutely. Breaking those chains, breaking those lies, breaking the bounds that hold us enslaved to those ideas. Hey, Maddie, how are you? I'm going back to the healing room on Sunday night. And I'm expectant of amazing things. And I really do think a lot of it's going to have to do with my ex-husband in this relationship. Hey, in England, how are you? You left him 4 years ago? I've been divorced for 3 years. And I'm telling you, it's taken that long for me to work through a lot of my stuff. Good. I'm so glad that you're fine. Hey, how are you? No more shame. No more shame because it wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything. And you know what? Even if you did, even if you put yourself in that relationship with that abusive person, it's not okay. I'm doing great. I'm talking about this book that I'm reading, Psychopath Free. It's all about healing from emotionally abusive relationships with narcissists, sociopaths, and toxic people. I was married for 5 years to a diagnosed sociopath. We've been divorced for 3 years now. I was raised by a bipolar schizophrenic mother, and my dad was never there, but my dad has a lot of anger issues. I truly don't believe my dad is capable of understanding what true love is either, although I can't put a label on it. I can't say that he's a narcissist. I can't say that he's a sociopath. I can't say he's a psychopath because I don't know if he's any of those things, but I do know that my childhood growing up, he was one of those toxic people. And so I was raised with that. And so when I started getting into relationships later, I believed that that was normal. I believed that that was okay. Yes, it's a lot to overcome, but we are overcomers. We are overcomers. And it's so funny because I got out of my marriage. Hey, John, how are you? I got out of my marriage. He walked away. And for the first time, I did not beg him to stay because that was what I would do every time. He would walk out. He would disappear. I didn't know where he was going. He would be gone all night, walk in the next morning, acting like he didn't do anything wrong by just leaving. By not telling me where he was, by me calling and texting, freaking out, scared, wondering if he was hurt, wondering what was going on in his life, because he just walked out. He walked away, and for the first time, I felt the freedom to not beg him to stay. That is the father of my children. That is the father of my children. We have 3 children together. We have a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. There's been a lot of stuff that has happened to my children since the divorce by the hand of their father. Legally, I've tried battling it as much as I can. At this point, all I can do is pray over my children and pray for their safety and pray for their protection. There's a word for people like those people. Amen. Look. We're on the same page. I feel you. Even more. Yes. You probably weren't on my scope the other day. My son, my 4-year-old, came to me crying, and told me, he said, Mommy, Daddy makes me bad. And I said, baby, what do you mean Daddy makes you bad? He said, Daddy told me that I'm bad and no one will ever want me, that I will never be good, that no one will ever love me, that Bubba and Sissy are good, that they're good all the time, that I'm never good, that I'm always bad, that I always do the wrong thing. And he crawled up in my lap and he was crying, and I called his brother and sister in the room, and we began to speak truth over him. We began to, every single one of us, tell him that he was good, that he was loved, that he was important, that he was special, that we all mess up, that we forgive him, that we love him. All of those things, and praying over him, praying that the things spoken into his life do not bind him, do not take root into his heart, and do not take root into his spirit. Because I know what it's like to have those lies spoken into you, especially by that man. Because for 6 years, I had lies spoken into me by my ex. I know how powerful his words are. I know how manipulative he is. I know about his lies. I do need to get him into counseling. I've been trying to get him into counseling for 3 years because I've had issues with him since the separation. He does at this time have unsupervised visitation. He did not for a while, but he does now. The court's granted him unsupervised visitation. He gets them 4 to 6 days a month. I've been trying to get him into counseling. No one will take a child that young. In none of the places that I've looked. He was 2 when I really actively started trying to put him in counseling. He's 4 now, and I've yet to find a counselor that will take him. But he needs it desperately. He needs it, or else I see where he's gonna look. Carla, there has been documented evidence by the hospital of abuse on my children by their father. My children have sat down and told CPS what their father has done to them. And they still refuse. At one point, I did have emergency custody where he had supervised visits and I was the supervisor, and it was amazing. But now the courts granted him custody again. So I pray every day that my children do not come out of this broken, that they do not come out of this so damaged that they are not able to heal from it. It is. It's a fight. It's a fight. And that's one reason why I'm thankful for this book. I feel like there's so much truth in it that I can speak over my children, because for now, that's all I can do. Continue to speak the truth into my children. Continue to speak words of life into my children. Continue to affirm what they do and don't deserve from other people. Look, I'm so exhausted. I don't know if I can pray right now. Hold on. I've got to build up. Last night wore me out so much, you guys. There was some attack going on. I don't know if y'all saw the scope yesterday. Somebody came on.